Hello everyone, welcome back to the Sifra channel. My name is Amjad and today I'm excited to share with you a unique tahini meat pie. So some history on this. When I was young, we would visit the Middle East every summer and some of my aunts would make this really unique dish. Of course, as a kid, I despised it. I felt tahini was the grossest thing in the world. But as I got older, I became obsessed. And then I noticed, hey, I've never seen anyone else make this. So I made my mom teach me how to make it, and now I'm excited to share it with all of you. So let's get started. So we're gonna start off by making the dough. We've got 2 cups of white flour, 3/4 of a cup of wheat flour, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of yeast, 1 tablespoon of baking powder, 1/4 of a cup of sugar, 3/4 cup of ground flaxseed. So you want to make sure you quickly mix up all the dry ingredients before you hook it up, attach this paddle, and start adding the wet ingredients. So you want to gradually drizzle in 3/4 of a cup of olive oil and then 1 cup of warm water. Again, gradually. So we're going to let the paddle do its thing. Now, if you notice, the dough does look sticky. This is completely normal. So what we're going to do at this point is drizzle a little bit of olive oil. This will help it come together. So now we're going to take a spatula and slowly start to pull the dough in together until it looks like this. Now we're gonna transfer that in a little bit, but first we need to rub olive oil all over the bottom of this round dish. Now pay attention to how deep this is. This will give you that deep dish pizza effect, if you know what I mean. Do not swap this with any other type of olive oil. It's just not the same. So please stick with olive oil. All right, now using your hand, just start to flatten it evenly and try to do this as evenly as much as possible. I mean, I've had mishaps where the middle is thinner than the edges and it's not ideal. It'll still be delicious, but you want something that's even all over. And notice how I'm using the side of my hand or thumb to pinch through the sides, kind of like you're preparing a pie dish. And that way the dough will come up the edges and create a nice, like a pizza crust. Okay, so now we're gonna let this rest, cover it up, let it rest, and we'll come back to it in about, I would say 30 to 45 minutes while we make the filling. So for the filling, we want a pot that has a large surface area. This will help you cook your meat a lot faster. You don't want to use a meat that's too lean because then it'll be dry. What's nice about this 80/20 ground beef is that it will release its own oils and I don't need to add any oil or butter. So using my wooden spoon, I'm going to break it up and continue doing that until the meat starts to brown, and you'll notice that it will release a lot of liquid. That's what we want. And we want to cook it until all of that liquid evaporates and then the meat starts to brown. That's when you'll know it's ready. So once the majority of that liquid evaporates, I will add some ginger as well as a ton of onions. Measurements will be down below, but for the sake of this video, I want you to know that I'm using 3 pounds of ground beef. I'm only using about 1.5 pounds for this actual recipe, but I love to have extra because this ground beef base is basically great for so many things. So you can just set some aside and freeze it or keep it in the fridge for a few days and then make a tomato sauce. You get the point. It's very versatile. Okay, so once the onions start to wilt down, I'm also going to add a generous amount of garlic. Onions and garlic equals deliciousness. Now seasoning. We're gonna need turmeric, cumin, garlic powder, paprika, coriander, Montreal steak seasoning, and of course some salt. Now mix that together really well. Make sure you turn down the heat a bit and ensure that you're not burning the bottom. So give that a nice mix. At this point, I would only cook it about 5 to 7 more minutes and it's pretty much ready. Now you want to set it aside and let it cool for maybe another 5 to 10 minutes while you prepare the tahini mixture. Now to make the tahini mixture, I'm using 16 ounces of tahini paste. I'm then gonna add 1 1/4 cup of water to it, shake it up, dump it back in, a cup of lemon juice, a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of black pepper, a tablespoon of olive oil, and a tablespoon of garlic. Now that you have your tahini mixture, we're gonna bring back the meat that has cooled down a bit, and I'm about to add 2/3 of the tahini mixture. I'm gonna leave some to the side because this is a great dressing as well as a topping, so we don't wanna use up all of it. Now we wanna mix those until they are very well combined and give it a taste and decide if you wanna add a little bit more tahini or not. I thought mine needed some more, so I did that. And then I'm going to continue mixing until everything is very well combined before we can move to the next step. So now that the dough has time to rest, we're going to use our hand or spatula or whatever you like to flatten out the middle and recreate that edge that we had made before. Then we're gonna add the tahini and meat mixture. Now the ratio of bread to me is up to you. My personal preference is a thick, generous layer of meat, but again, you can determine that. You can make more dough and make multiple pies. You can even make mini pies, completely up to you. Now make sure you slightly press down on it and then use the back of a spoon to flatten it out. Now before we prepare to put this in the oven, we're going to sprinkle on a generous amount of poppy seeds. If you don't have any, I guess you can also use sesame seeds or black nigella seeds. After that, we're going to whisk up 2 eggs and brush it around the corners so that they can bake into a nice golden brown color. And then the rest we're not going to waste. We're just going to dump it in the middle and gently spread it without moving the poppy seeds around too much. And I know I was initially panicking and I thought, oh my god, this is going to ruin the poppy seeds, but it didn't. It's just fine. So we're going to bake it for about 35 to 45 minutes in a 350 degree preheated oven until it's perfectly golden brown. Keep a close eye and make sure that you're monitoring it just in case yours needs less or more time. And let it cool about 10 minutes before you start slicing through, and you will be impressed with how beautiful this is. I love to serve it with some freshly squeezed lemon juice and maybe some fresh veggies like cucumbers and tomatoes, but that's it. It heats up incredibly well. Just stick it in the toaster and enjoy. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Please don't forget to subscribe.